What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Last Gift Podcast, Season 4, Episode 11. And tonight we are joined by the Buccanidiots' very own Stank Bastard. What's going on, Stank?
Test? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You good?
Not sure what happened.
How you doing tonight, Stank? Can you hear me?
How are you doing tonight, Stank?
I don't know if Stank can hear me.
I can't hear or...
Can you hear me,
sure
Ace?
what just happened? I can't hear you guys.
I can hear you fine.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you, Stank, but you can't hear us.
I can't hear anything.
Interesting.
Sorry, hold on one second.
Interesting. All right. If you want, leave and come back and see if it helps. And see if it just resets the audio on it. For the permission. Well, he can't hear me. But yeah, what's going on, Flash? How we doing tonight?
We're doing good. I would suggest put it in the private chat, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. He's muted. Oh boy, he's muted.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I don't know what the fuck happened, but I had to...
You're good.
Hey, but anyway, let's rewind and clap. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Season 4, Episode 11 of the Last Gift Podcast. I'm Ace. Dude on my right is...
Flash.
And tonight we're joined by the Buccanidiots' very own Stank Bastard. What's going on, Stank? How we
What's
doing
up,
tonight?
Ace? What's up, Flash? Oh, things are great. Things are great.
That's good. That's
Couldn't
good.
be better. Couldn't be better. You ever have that perfect weekend? You know, like where just all your teams win? That happened to me. Other than fantasy.
Dude, I don't think you don't have as bad as me in fantasy, but I can tell you what, this weekend was kicked off the best way. I do want to give the Tampa Catholic High School Crusaders a massive congratulations from someone that graduated there, a proud alumni of Tampa Catholic High School. I have to give them a big congratulations. Massive shout out to Jarvis McIntyre for leading them to the promised land. 23 years, we don't have to hear none of that. You know, I don't have to hear no more that the streak is old as me. So I am thankful for them. I was so happy. I think that was probably the biggest fan moment I ever had in my life when I saw the live stream go down to 0-0-0. I was just so happy. Ace could tell you all about that.
Oh yeah, this man was acting like it was Christmas morning. You should have seen him, Stank. Act like a little 2-year-old.
I would have been. Listen, I was there. I am not a TC alumnus, but my daughter attends TC. And I went to Chamberlain High School. Go Chiefs. I don't even know what they're calling themselves now, but still going to be the Chiefs to me. Gladiators.
They're the Gladiators.
Yeah, they're always going to be the Chiefs to me. I think one of the other names that they were tossed around was Cheetahs, which sounded a lot better because, you know, Chiefs, Cheetahs. But I guess they're the Gladiators now. Anyways, I got to experience it. It didn't look good. It was a game that they really had no business winning, similar to the Bucks game this Sunday. The Jesuits just let them hang around. They scored. They blocked the fucking punt.
I know,
it was nuts. The place went crazy. The students rushed the field. It was a hell of an experience, and I got to see all the Jesuit fans and their feelings afterwards, making excuses, all that shit. It was great.
I know. I mean, listen. Let me tell you something.
Guy. I don't have much into this.
Even back in my day, we always had talk about rushing the field for when it happened. Mm-hmm. Back when we had some chances back then as well. So it was planned for a long time. And you know, hearing the "I believe we will win" chants over and over and over, we finally put it to motion. You know,
I got emotional seeing my daughter have the opportunity to rush the field. Like I never got that in high school. We never beat anybody in high school. When I went to Chamberlain, we sucked. Our big rival back then was Hillsborough, and they used to beat down on us. So that was back in the Billy Turner days. Long time ago.
That's ancient days.
Ancient times.
I mean,
but with that being said, we have JP's will be on tomorrow for Running Gun 8:00. But tonight we're gonna talk, mainly shitting on the Saints because they deserve it. Seahawks Bucks preview in Germany, Munich. So that's going to be an interesting game. Some NBA, NHL stuff. The new college football rankings came out. We got Tennessee fell out of the top 4. Well deserved for Georgia. Georgia was mad that they were number 3. They showed up, and they made their point that they were number 1 in the country. They are number 1. Ohio State, Michigan, TCU round out the top 4. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But with that being said, let's get this show on the road with the intro coming in.
As I said before multiple times, like, share, subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend. And that's how it is, baby.
See you on the other side.
Stank, for the record, that Rams highlight in our clip, that was Ace's idea. I had nothing to do with it, so just please don't take offense.
Oh no, but we have Mike Evans toasting Cooper Kupp in the last give one, so don't feel bad.
Well, that's ancient history. We finally beat. They're terrible. I can't even pound my chest like we beat a good team. They're somehow worse than we are.
There are 4 good teams in the NFL right now. 5 on a weekly basis. It depends. You got the Chiefs, you got the Bills, and sometimes the Vikings show up here and there. But really, that's it. We know the Bills just lost, but
it's too early to be crowning anybody in the NFL. You know how it works.
No.
It's
I know.
Teams get hot towards the end of the season. Wild card teams are dangerous. These teams who dominate throughout the season, like the Eagles, who don't really face a whole lot of adversity, end up taking it on the chin in the first or second round of the playoffs. A lot of football is left to be played. Injuries are always a factor. Look at everybody. Everybody thought for sure Buffalo was going to run the table and go and just roll through everybody, and that's not necessarily going to happen. And now Josh Allen's banged up. So you never know, man. Long season. And it's a marathon.
And don't forget this: the Eagles are the healthiest team in the league, and that's gonna change eventually. They can't keep up their health streak all the way throughout the year. So we'll get into that.
Hey, you never know. They might have a good priest on that team. You never know, man.
The only priest I know that's on a football team, Jack Easterby, got fired this year, so I don't even know any.
You do not know about Father Chuck. Real ones know about Father Chuck. He was. Oh, you don't know about Father Chuck?
No.
Nah, you see him sometimes on the Bucs sidelines helping out with the Bucs players and stuff.
Oh, okay.
He used to do some masses back in the TC days as well. So that's how we all knew him. We all like Father Chuck. So.
All right.
So
since you are the guest, I'm gonna ask which one you want to do first. You want to do the Saints talk or the Bucs talk?
We will start off with the Saints talk. I'd love to hear you talk about the Saints right now because
I was gonna have a rant last night, but no one went to join the chat to have fun with me on that because Dennis Allen gotta go. That I don't know. Gail Benson, right? That's the owner of the Saints. She saw Stan Van Gundy absolutely. I don't want to say shit the bed, but he kind of basically did that with the Pelicans, and she got rid of him like that, right? And she brought in Willie Green. I need to see that kind of effort from her with the Saints organization because Dennis Allen ain't it.
Time out. Let me before I go on with this. Isn't the Pelicans GM David Griffin still?
Yeah, but Mickey Loomis runs both teams. He's the president of both teams.
Well, then at that point, I kind of say, it's kind of different when you have a different general manager for a completely different sport. I do not know anything about the Saints general manager.
No, it's the same owner, same manager, like not GM, but the president who runs the operations is the same.
But in the end, the general manager does make those kind of calls.
No, not on coaching. That's all the way up. Stank, how do teams work when they make it to coaching? When Todd Bowles got put, was it
in the
Glazer who
NFL?
made
Yeah, in the NFL, it's typically the GM that makes the hiring and the firing decisions, but it really goes on a team by team basis. I mean, look what the Colts owner just did.
Exactly.
That motherfucker just decided to hire, former player, guy that sits behind a mic who's never coached a team before in his life. So it depends on the ownership. Like Jerry Jones, obviously, he's got the final say in Dallas. The Glazers will get involved in Tampa, but ultimately they typically let the GM do the hiring and firing of the coaching staff. And I know Jason Light hired BA, and Jason Light hired Todd Bowles. So, and I think Mickey Loomis decided to keep Dennis Allen versus bringing in the outside
Sean
guy.
Payton had a lot to do with that, but
I
can have
guess
a
so.
whole thing on Sean Payton.
Yeah,
Sean Payton has pissed off a lot of people this
He should.
week.
So Ace just got checked down already. Well, he got struck down on the fact that it was the president when the.
Are you making up Stank? I think Stank. I think he's making up his own thing. I don't.
No,
clogged up in the.
I'm not making that up.
Not you. Not you. I'm talking about him. Because, like I said, Mickey is the one who he's listed as the president, but he's really the GM of both teams. With David Griffin handling some lesser stuff for the Pelicans, but he ultimately has the final say.
David Griffin has been on the mic and everything and been having the most say on.
Okay, forget that part. Let's focus on the Lord have mercy.
If you want to do Saints talk, do Saints talk.
That's what I'm doing. So he needs to go. We've seen them absolutely wet the bed. I
think he needs to stay.
Yeah, you would say that.
Yeah. I'm hoping that he stays. But I can see why Saints fans are ready to jettison the guy. It's not like we have a whole lot to celebrate here in Tampa, bro. We are fairly close to the same dumpster fire that you guys have in New Orleans right now. This whole division is an absolute fucking joke. And we're
2014.
Yeah, we're a couple plays away from having the same record as you guys. So it really isn't anything to tout and celebrate about. Both organizations made similar moves, right? Their head coaches retired, and they decided to promote their defensive coordinators to head coaches, and it hasn't worked. The recipe's been off. And I watch a lot of Saints football. Obviously, I'm the biggest Saints hater on Twitter. Follow me at Stank Bastard. Okay. I can't stand that team, but I follow them closely, just like I do all the other NFC South teams. And defensively, you also have a squad, man. It's offensively, I don't know what the hell's going on there.
I would say is so the Bucs and Saints, like you said, it's kind of mirrored, but they also kept the offensive coordinators that were with the previous head coaches for the sake of continuity. I don't know if the Bucs use that specific term like how the Saints did, but they preached culture continuity. But the only difference is the Bucs have an answer right now at quarterback with Tom Brady, right? Even at 45, it's like not like he's fallen off. He's still playing good football. It's just his offensive line has just been absolutely atrocious compared to where the Saints are with their offensive coordinator. It's like the 1 weeks they've been good is when they gave Taysom Hill the ball a lot. And those were weeks Sean Payton was in the building, and you're like, who really came up with that game plan against the Raiders? Because if you watch the Saints the entire season, besides the one game where Taysom Hill had 4 touchdowns, their offense has been brutal in the first 3 quarters. Against the Raiders, the team was firing like the play call, and you're like, that ain't Pete Carmichael who was making those plays. Those were definitely Sean Payton looking plays, and you're like, well, that's more to say on how bad Carmichael's been. And to be honest, I thought he was going to be all right. And you're watching him now, you're like, what are these play calls? You run a 3rd down out route that's not even 1 yard deep. It's 2 yards before the line of scrimmage on a 3rd and 3. You're like, what are you doing? Then 3rd and 1, you don't give it to Taysom Hill, who's essentially a fullback in a quarterback body. And he bulldozes people like it's nothing. We saw what he did to Marlon Humphrey, and you're like, why don't you give him the ball on 3rd down? Then you're like, okay, you got Chris Olave. What does Andy Dalton do? Stands there like in headlights. Jameis Winston gets hurt, broken back and a torn muscle in his foot. Okay, can't help that. Then Andy Dalton comes in, and he has not looked good. And Dennis Allen says, well, the offense is moving better. The offense is moving better because they were running the ball. And that's not something they were doing when Jameis was playing. And you're like, Okay, Jameis didn't have a single 100-yard rusher when he was the quarterback for the first 3 weeks. And those were solid run defenses, and then you played softer teams, and Kamara gets going, Taysom Hill gets going, and you're like, all right, that opens up play action and your fakes and your screen passes and whatnot. And then you see the offense starting to progress, but you still seeing the missed throws, the interceptions, the fumbles from Andy Dalton, where you're like, well, that's the only knock on Jameis was the turnovers, right? And then you're like, well, Jameis is 90% healthy right now. And yet then it sounds like we're going to keep going with Andy Dalton. And this was the Arizona game. He said it threw 2 picks in a minute and 4 seconds of game time, 4 minutes real time, 2 pick sixes coming out of halftime. What did Dan Sound say? Hey, it's not your night. No. Hey, just we're going to sit you and go with the spark right now. No. He said, keep doing what you're doing after throwing 3 picks in the first quarter, all Jameis-esque. Okay, fine. Maybe it's just you want to keep his confidence going for next week. Next week, he plays against the Raiders. He did not do a single damn thing to win that game. That game was Kamara gets a choice route. If he goes in, you just throw him the ball 2 yards deep. That's literally what he was. 2 yards deep, Kamara did the rest. No one said nothing. The next week, he plays actual football team, the Baltimore Ravens. What happened? Wow, not surprised. He looks like a deer in headlights, getting every other pass batted down. Should have had 2 picks in that game, but one got caught on a BS DPI because his tight end should have caught that ball, but it was way over his head. Then he misses Marquez Callaway in the end zone, which he should have hit because the dude had nobody 5 yards around him. Throws 2 hospital throws to Kamara, almost misses Olave on an out route in the 2-minute drill, and takes sacks in both the 2-minute drill and in crucial situations where you need to get points instead of just hitting Kamara right there in the flat, which was something that everybody criticized James for. And you're seeing in the national media, people are like, hey, wait, shouldn't we have difference change? And you're like, So that's just what I got to say on that situation. But what do you think about all that, plus what they should do from an objective standpoint, and that, as you would say, keep the
taking my hater glasses off, which is difficult for me to do when I evaluate anything related to Saints. I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you. I thought that the Saints would be better. I know that you guys have had injuries on offense with Landry, and now obviously bitch ass Mike Thomas is out for the season again. So you're in a similar boat to us on offense. You're missing weapons. The continuity's not there. You've had issues obviously at quarterback with Jameis getting hurt. And I don't know if that's why he's on the bench. I don't know that the coaching staff really believes in Jameis. Otherwise, I think it was a big part of the decision Sean Payton made to leave the team. It was a weird retirement. He retired, but it wasn't really a retirement. It's like he retired from the Saints, but not retiring from coaching. So if that's me, if I'm a Saints fan and my coach does that to me, I hate that guy, bro. Like, I get what he did. He brought y'all a Super Bowl. He was one of the winningest head coaches in franchise, or is the winningest head coach in your franchise's history. That's some fucked up shit. I don't get it. Has he given an explanation for why he backed away from the team he supposedly built in the city he supposedly loves? I don't get that. He
said how, after doing something for 15 years, you just want to change. But I think with the questions at quarterback, and then you're like, well, your team's getting older, like DeMario, Cam Jordan, all that. So your defense is aging. And then you're like, well, I think he will end up either in Dallas or LA, because I don't think Brandon Staley survives a year. So I think he wanted a young elite quarterback he can work with, even though he should have just drafted Lamar, which pissed off a lot of people last night when he was talking on the Manning cast, where he said, I'm a free agent. I'm going to be a free agent. Lamar's going to be a free agent or whatever. That whole statement that went circulating everywhere. Mm-hmm. And you're like, well, man, you traded up in 2018, and the entire world, myself included, thought you were drafting Lamar Jackson. What? No, you didn't draft Lamar. You drafted Marcus Davenport, who has not even played very well. He's been hurt most of his career, hurt again last night. And you're like, well, if you wanted an elite quarterback, why didn't you draft Lamar when you had him in 2018? So
yeah, a lot of teams are kicking themselves for passing on Lamar. It's easy to look at Lamar in hindsight and see what he's become and what he's proven. But there was a lot of doubt. There was a lot of doubt, and there kind of still is a lot of doubt in regards to whether or not a quarterback like Lamar can, transition into being that Super Bowl type quarterback. Because everybody compares him to Mahomes. They're different quarterbacks. Mahomes is a pocket passer who can run. Lamar's a runner who's getting better at passing. So you have to see that growth there. Nobody questions the guy. He's a fucking weapon. He's what Michael Vick could have been had he stayed healthy. Although Vic had a better arm than Lamar, I think Lamar has a little bit better football IQ than Mike.
That would be Justin Fields. If Fields gets the wide receiver, I could see what Vic would have been if he stayed healthy and not in trouble.
Respect, that would be Ace, you are overhyping Justin Fields right now, with all due respect.
Man just broke Mike Vick's single rushing record, and the amount of drop passes Chicago just had against a really good defense in Miami. Just saying.
I still don't think Justin has Mike's arm. Mike had an elite arm. That guy could, without a wind up, throw a 50-yard bomb. He just had a stupid arm, but he didn't necessarily have that high level of football IQ to read defenses well and do the things that successful quarterbacks do. Plus, he was injury prone. He wasn't durable, which made it a whole lot worse. I think you can win with a quarterback like Lamar, but a lot of things have to go right. And they obviously brought in weapons and to try to help him out. But they lost Bateman for the year, and they're banged up. And of course, they lose their running back stable every single year somehow.
Andrews hurt too.
Yeah, Andrews is hurt. So, the answer to whether or not he can eventually lead that team to a Super Bowl is still a question mark to me. He stayed pretty healthy, which is surprising for the type of the style of play he has. But I'm not convinced a run first quarterback can win a Super Bowl, because I don't know that they can stay healthy and have the longevity. A quarterback like Russell Wilson, who does have the mobility, but as a pocket, I think you got to be a pocket guy first with mobility.
That makes sense. Yeah. I think you see that with Allen too. He could stand in the pocket, fling it, but then he can also go out. But we haven't seen him win the Super Bowl yet to be able to definitely say that. But JP was saying, pay Lamar. What's up, Stank? Got a hit for Christmas. JP's he's got stuff he got to do.
I'll say this about Lamar at the moment. I think this that Lamar is getting better as a pocket present passer, as a passer as a whole. I think that will be the make or breaker of if Lamar actually gets a Super Bowl or not, in my personal opinion.
But that's my all right, let's pivot over to the Bucs. So, Stank, I know the Bucs won Sunday.
Yep,
was a brutal game to watch. I gotta say, I was watching that game. It was ugly football, but Brady does what Brady does.
You think your offense looks like shit in New Orleans? The Bucs somehow always find themselves in elite statuses in regards to holding and rewriting the record books in negative categories. We always find a way to do it. The worst rushing offense. Somebody said ever.
Who said ever?
Statistically, it's like one of the worst rushing offenses ever in the NFL, which is hard to do. It really is. That's a hard thing to accomplish, but we seem to accomplish. Those.
I think the Rams got y'all beat. I really think the Rams got you beat.
It's maybe I don't really watch Rams football like that, but it's ugly here in Tampa. Everybody's calling for Leftwich's head. I don't think the Bucs are going to get rid of Leftwich, because I think that Tom and Leftwich are tied at the hip. As much as people want to blame Leftwich for this offense, I really believe this is their offense. I believe this is as much Tom's offense as it is Byron's offense. And you know why I believe that? Because there's no fucking way in hell that Tom would accept an offense he doesn't want. I'm sorry. Especially with
not in this age in career, no.
Yeah, especially with BA not in the building. There's nobody there anymore to tell Tom no. There's nobody there to to stand up to Tom. So Tom gets what Tom wants, and Tom obviously wants this style of play. Maybe he's not comfortable behind that line, and he wants to play conservative and try to do ball control, clock management, old school style football. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, because they look like they can go down the field in 2 minutes, but every offense looks better in 2 minutes because the defense sits back and plays soft. And people are like, well, why don't we spread it out all over, and do that every series? Because it doesn't work that way. Otherwise, Chip Kelly would have 5 Super Bowls by now, and in the NFL, you can't do that. You have to be able to do it all: run the ball, pass the ball, run in short yardage, convert in short yardage, and those are all things that Tampa's proven they cannot do.
I mean, I'll add on top of that as well. I mean, if you keep running 2-minute offenses throughout the whole game, the defense is going to figure out what the hell you're doing.
And they're going to gas out, which is exactly what happened against the fucking Ravens. By the time the third quarter rolled around, I'm not sure if you all watched the Bucs Ravens game. That defense was done. They were done. Devin White got shit on all week long, and we had Donnie Abraham on the podcast, and we're like, Donnie, what's going on with Devin? And Donnie said on the Loose Cannons podcast, by the way. Like and subscribe on Twitter. Donnie said that fatigue makes a coward out of everyone, and that's exactly what was happening. The defense can only do so much. You can't keep on going 3 and out on offense and then expect your defense to be able to stand on its head and stop a team like the Ravens, who have the ability to pound the ball right down your fucking throat. So I don't know that they're going to get it figured out. They're facing another team this week. In Germany. I like that they have some confidence actually going into this game, but they can't continue to play the way they played. Otherwise, they're going to get the shit kicked out of them again. And then Bucks have a bye the following week, and maybe they do make some changes. But I don't see Leftwich going anywhere.
What about the running back personnel? Do you think they give Fournette more carries, or do they try to see what Rachaad White got in a bigger role?
I think it's going to stay a rotation. Whether they up the amount of carries that White gets, that remains to be seen. I don't think you give up on Lenny. Lenny's a guy who kind of thrives behind a line that allows him to run patiently. This isn't that line. When this team opens up holes, they're just there for a split second. So I think it benefits a guy like Rachaad, who's much, much quicker to the hole, who's not back there freelancing very much. It's see hole, hit hole. He's running the plays that are called. He's following his blocks. Lenny hasn't really been doing that. And Lenny has had some games where he's made something out of nothing. He's a tough guy to tackle, and he's a really good receiver. So I think they both have value. I saw the story today that Rick Stroud put out that said that Lenny was frustrated on the sideline. I think everybody on that offense is frustrated. Mike Evans doesn't look frustrated. You don't think Chris Godwin looks frustrated? Everybody on that fucking offense is frustrated. The fans are frustrated. Tom's frustrated. It's a frustrating offense to watch when you know that when they're humming, when they're running on all cylinders, that they have the ability to score 30 plus points a week. And that just hasn't happened at all this season. And I don't know that it ever will, honestly. But, I learned a long time ago not to bet against 12.
I'll say this for now. I mean, you're only as good as where your offensive line can take you,
Yeah.
That's, I've seen that firsthand. I mean, I learned that the hard way watching TC versus Jesuit back in 2016, 2015, 2016. No. I'm telling you, because back then, our O-line was not that good back then, Well,
it's not a bad comparison, because when you watch youth football or high school football, or even really college football, man, you see that the teams that dominate up front always have a big advantage. That's why teams like Alabama and Georgia and these big teams, man, they have pro lines. It's not a coincidence that the majority of their linemen go and play on the next level. they are so dominant up front, and they have the athletes on top of that. But if you don't have the lines and you have just athletes, you don't win football games. You don't. I don't care who you face. When I used to coach Pop Warner, it used to happen all the time. We had great athletes. We couldn't block and tackle. We would lose games.
Why do you think the Bengals lost the Super Bowl?
That's another reason why the Bengals are struggling at the moment. Even though you would think with the biggest cap that they have, they look terrible.
Yeah, why do you think we blew the Chiefs out in the Super Bowl? We blew the Chiefs out in the Super Bowl because they couldn't protect and they couldn't stop our offense. And
that D-line was just eating them up.
They were a fucking mess. We're seeing it this year. We're breaking in a brand new center. We've got a rotation at guard. We have 2 new guards. We're breaking in our new tight ends, who are obviously a piece of the puzzle up front, and it's just been a hot mess because of it. And 12 doesn't look the same. Plus, he's got all these personal issues going on. So, will they get it fixed? Will they morph into a offense that scares people? Maybe. But is it going to happen this week against a Seattle team that's playing also with a whole lot of confidence, that's leading that division when nobody gave him the fucking chance? And you got a guy like Geno who's out there, trying to prove that he's, worthy of being the starter, and he's having a renaissance.
Long story short, Geno did not write back.
No, he didn't write back, and he's not going to write back. He's not going to do us any favors either. He's playing smart football, and they're not beating themselves. Oh, and by the way,
he's making some crazy throws too. By the way, it's like
some insane passes.
He dropped a dime, right over defender, right into that pocket, right before he got to the sidelines. Like he just playing out of his mind right now.
That happens though. Sometimes quarterbacks mature later in their career. Look at Rich Gannon. Okay, that guy, had a I know I'm kind of going back a little further than you guys maybe even followed the NFL, but he was he's a guy that kind of bounced around the league a little bit. He was a decent quarterback with the Vikings, and then had a renaissance later in his career when he started with when he got Gruden as his offensive coordinator for the Raiders, and was incredible. So sometimes those guys who bounce around, they that have the skills, they mature and they end up being great quarterbacks later on in the career.
And it doesn't make things much easier on the Buccaneers defensive side as well when Kenneth Walker has been balling out of nowhere.
Kenneth Walker might not make it to the Germany game because apparently he has a passport issue right now. He never had an American passport, so that's something that would be shameful. So they're trying to figure that out right now. It's kind of similar to the whole situation with the
I feel like something like that could be
taken. If I'm not mistaken, he had a passport issue, but they managed to figure it out to get him back to the States. So
yeah, the NFL might have a little pull. So
I feel like in the case with Kenneth Walker, they'll probably get him in quickly.
Unless the guy has some kind of federal background, I doubt they're going to hold the kid back. And one thing that the Bucs have historically, or at least under Todd Bowles, have been really good at stopping the run, and that hasn't been the case this season. But we got Akeem Hicks back the other night.
Walker's a closer though. He's not more of like a hit you all game kind of guy. He's a guy. He's gonna like how Henry played early on. He's like wears you down during the game, and then bam, that fourth quarter hit. He's ripping off 15, 20 yards of pop every go because he's just wearing that defense right down.
You guys know the best way to stop the run is by scoring points. That's how you stop the run. You want to take the other team's running game away, put up points. That it's the answer. I mean, look at fucking Tennessee the other night. As soon as it got to the point where they had to throw the ball, that was it. They had, it didn't even look like an NFL team at the end of that game. Did anybody on the planet look at that offense and was going to be like, yeah, they're going to go down the field and score, bro? That's how reliant they are on that run game.
Their wide receiving core might be the worst one I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
It is worse than Green Bay's right now.
I think since they lost Corey Davis and AJ Brown, I think things have
even Treylon Burks, who was there to replace AJ Brown. He's on IR, so like it's not even like they got a guy who can go get separation. Robert Woods is in the last half of like leg of his career. He's not doing much. He had a guy, Nikina Westbrook or somebody like that, who was catching, like, he didn't catch a single ball, but they had him playing safety to prevent a Hail Mary at the end of the fourth quarter. You're like, yeah, this ain't going to end well for the Titans. And Malik Willis, he's not ready to be an NFL quarterback yet. He needs to sit for a long.
Yeah. And based on what I can see, I mean, he just looked lost out there. He didn't look like he belonged on the field. He's definitely not ready for prime time, especially with having no weapons around him to help. That's not really a recipe for success for any quarterback. I don't give a fuck how good you are. Look at Aaron Rodgers right now. Did anybody really believe that he's not a good quarterback? We all know he's a great fucking quarterback, but it's the NFL. You better have the horses. You can't just fake your way through a 17-game season. These other guys get paid too, man. Talking about the best of the best. Even practice squad guys are still the best of the best, guys coming off of college teams and out there looking to fucking make a career and get paychecks, man. So you better have talent. You can't just fake your way in there, and you can't just have talent at one position. You need 53 guys, or at least all 22 of the starters to be dogs, because if they're not, they're gonna get beat.
And you saw that with Detroit. Detroit was hungry. They had nothing to lose. I think they don't want to say they called it a season, but once they traded Hawkinson, you can see they've kind of said, all right, this is not our year, but they came out with something to prove against a divisional rival. And let's be real, they kind of pounded Green Bay in the mouth in the secondary. Like, that red zone defense held up. Like, they had Rodgers uncomfortable in the secondary, made a couple of bad throws. Well, 3 of them because he threw 3 picks. But you're like, well, Packers got to figure out because they're not good either. It's like they're in the same boat with the Bucs and the Rams, where you're like, well, you got expectation, but you're not playing up to that level that.
Well, here's the point.
While you have guys like the Jets and the Giants who came in with no expectations, but they're just wrecking everybody right now.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of having no expectations. You can play loose and free. That's another problem that's ailing the Bucs. Is that
the media's always on them.
They're not playing loose and free. Every single pass feels like it's a make or break pass. It's just nobody's having fun out there. We heard Devin White say as much, saying that he felt bored, in the second half against Atlanta. That they're not having fun, and I don't give a fuck, man. It's still a kids game, right? Like, you got to be out there and you got to be hungry, especially when you see teams out there that are having fun. You watch the Chiefs play, bro. It looks like fun as hell. Who wouldn't want to be on that team? Look at the Eagles right now. How much fun does that look like? How much fun are those guys having? You think they want to come to the weight room and show up at 6 a.m. They want to come to work. They want, they're out there killing themselves, but they probably don't feel very much pain right now because of success.
They're having fun.
It's a great deodorant, right? It makes you feel good. You can push through all the bullshit and play loose. And I don't think, we talked about New Orleans, we talked about the Bucs. Neither team right now is playing loose. They're just beating themselves, and that's why they're
playing loose. Minnesota Vikings, I mean, go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, now Ace is going. I just also want to say, don't underestimate the Seattle's defense as well. They just, I don't know, or just start stepping up.
The run defense is gettable, though. It's been exposed a couple times. Arizona actually ran the ball pretty decent.
Well, lucky for them, the Bucs can't run the ball, so that's
exactly. Well, I mean, you could say it's exposable, but look what they did to the Giants. They forced Daniel Jones to throw the ball, and look how that turned out.
They sold out to stop Saquon, and they weren't that very successful, unless, for the most part, they held him in check. But he still had a couple of runs here or there to make them have to stay honest and not just tee off on Daniel Jones. But that, like, Minnesota's got the revenge game, Kirk Cousins' revenge game on the You Like That Washington game. So they're having fun right now. They got the Bills, but we'll see if Josh Allen plays that game. You guys got any? That's like the best.
That game made me question. That game made me question a whole lot about myself. You like that game? That was
that
yeah. That was a like I said, the Bucks always find special ways to do things that other teams just don't do. There wouldn't be a Kirk Cousins, I don't think, without the Bucks in that game.
Man made $230 million. If I'm not mistaken, he's gotten $230 million off of paychecks because of that game. So
yeah, we've made a lot of guys like Kirk Cousins some money. Just seems like every quarterback like that, who's coming off the bench seems to have the best game they've ever had against us and break records against us.
Yeah,
but
Taylor Heineke looked crazy good too that one year during that Super Bowl run year for crying out.
Did he not? He looked great against us.
The best games this week are really just the Vikings-Bills game and the Mike McCarthy homecoming game to Green Bay after the Super Bowl. So, and Chargers 49ers. That's really it. Not many good games this week.
No hype about Tom Brady versus a streaking hot Seattle. Come on.
Oh, Tom Brady in Germany. I guess he's undefeated in Europe. That's from what I heard.
Oh yeah, he is with New England and England. New England and London. I ain't gonna say anything.
So
I mean, I'll say this about the Buccaneers. As bad the offense look, Tom Brady is still doing Tom Brady things, and it's not being said enough, in my personal opinion, because Tom Brady has really high expectations because he's Tom Brady. I just want to remind people, as bad the Buccaneers offense look, Tom Brady is still doing Tom Brady things.
He is. He's also doing some uncharacteristic. Blah, 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 you know the word I'm looking for.
Uncharacteristic.
Yeah, exactly. He's also doing some things that aren't very Tom Brady, like throwing off his back foot, rushing throws when the pocket hasn't collapsed yet. He is human. The guy can make every throw still. Obviously, he's maniacal. He's a fucking football savant. As far as being able to read defenses and those types of things, but he is not without fault. He hasn't played very well. He's said it himself at times. That Ravens game, probably the worst game he's played in a Bucs uniform, and so he as well as the rest of those guys, they just got to get on the same page, man. But I think the win the win, I guess it's not last night, 2 nights ago, gave them something they haven't had all season. That's a little bit of fucking confidence. So we'll see if they can build on that.
It'll be a fun game to watch. I'll say
I'm going to pivot over to the NCAA.
I do need to ask Stank one question. What is on Stank's hate week for the Seattle Seahawks? You got to have no salmon on that list.
I've already gotten several suggestions, and I'm going to be putting the list out tomorrow. No salmon, no Starbucks. Clearly, you can't have any. No fucking Starbucks. You can't go anywhere near Space Needle. All right, I don't care where you're at. If they happen to have one in your town, if you're in Las Vegas, you can't go in that Space Needle. No Space Needles.
You gotta say no Amazon.
No Amazon.
No Microsoft.
Isn't that's gonna be a tough one. Isn't Nirvana from fucking Seattle? Or you can't, none of those 90s fucking grunge bands, none of that shit. No flannel shirts, you can't wear flannels. There's gonna be quite a few things on there, but I'm open to suggestions. You guys got some for me?
I said the Amazon one, but
I said salmon because of Pike's Place when they throw the salmon. So,
you just can't throw fish, period.
Yeah.
No clam chowder because Seattle got a good clam chowder too.
Yeah.
Really? You've been
Yeah.
I honestly thought it was San Francisco.
I'll say this. Even people from New England say Seattle got better clam chowder than New England.
That's saying something.
Seattle clam chowder is pretty good. They got some lobster stuff there. No haddock. Or halibut. No halibut. Can't do halibut either. No blue, no green.
Yeah, no blue, no green.
But if I got anything, I'll tweet it out. But I ain't got much for that. No K9 shirts. That's Kenneth Walker's nickname. So no
K9. That's
no K9s. Okay.
No K9s.
I like
because
that.
of Kenneth Walker.
I'm gonna pivot over to the NCAA.
Make sure you're right back.
Because we're already at 45 minutes. So Georgia was upset that they were ranked number 3 last week, and they came out, punched Tennessee in the mouth. I guess we could clearly say that 27-13 late touchdown for Tennessee saved them from 27-6 embarrassment. Hendon Hooker was uncomfortable all game. That Georgia defense showed up ready to play. That front four made life hell. Stetson Bennett, 25 years old, killing NCAA still looks like a man among boys at this point, playing football. But what y'all got to say about Georgia keeping up at their number one? Going to be the SEC championship right now is projected to be LSU versus Georgia. Whoever had that at the start of the year, congrats to them. Shout out to them because I didn't. But we'll talk about LSU in a bit.
Whoever bet that money was probably believing in that Louisiana juice. I'll say that much.
But what do you guys think about Georgia so far?
I'll let Stank go first.
Fuck Georgia, first of all.
You're a Florida boy.
Yeah, I'm a Gator. We've had a weird season. Yeah, breaking in new coaching staff and new coaches, and
I gotta talk about Anthony Richardson in a bit.
Players quitting and doing some weird shit. So I'm not really sure what to think about that Florida team this year. But now Georgia's in a different place right now. It's going to be hard for me to see them not going back to back this year. They're just playing. They're playing with a whole different level of confidence. They've got some serious fucking talent on that team too. So
it's not only talent. I must say, do not underestimate Georgia's depth. And I said that did made a difference in the Tennessee game.
And somebody needs to check their quarterback's birth certificate because that dude looks like he's 37 years old.
Yeah, I don't think Stetson's 25, but I was gonna say if the playoff comes out how it is, I know it's not because of Ohio State versus Michigan, but if it did come out where it's Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU, it's Georgia wrapped up.
Alabama's gonna sneak into the top four somehow.
They can now with 2 losses. I don't see them coming in like that.
I'm gonna literally quote ESPN. Alabama's done for. ESPN said it themselves. Alabama is done for.
I don't know how Alabama sneaks in. I mean, unless you can make the argument, well, they did lose to both the number 5 and number 1 team in the country. I guess that's your argument, but then
that's not my argument. I hate Alabama, by the way. Let's very clear here. I don't want them make sure anywhere LSU near there.
Drops to 3 losses, which is possible it's going to be LSU dropping to 3 losses with the loss to Georgia.
Listen,
it'd be hard to have them sneak in.
I don't even know which team is going to beat Ellis. It's going to beat LSU at this. I mean,
until the SEC championship.
Yeah, I just do not know. I mean, I don't think Arkansas is going to do it, and I don't think Texas A&M is going to do it with that Jimbo Rumbo, whatever he's doing over there. So
Jimbo, if his buyout wasn't like enormous, I think he would have got fired this year. But it's like so ridiculous. I don't think Texas A&M could foot that bill to get rid of him. So. But you mentioned this Anthony Richardson thing, but when I watched Jaden Daniels and Richardson both play, you see a lot of similarities. I don't know if you saw when they played each other, but it's like Jaden Daniels is I told you, I said Jaden Daniels is like the Nordstrom brand of Anthony Richardson being the Equate brand. But when it's probably all said, there's people making this argument that Anthony Richardson has the tools at his disposal to become a Josh Allen type player in the NFL. But what do you think about that whole statement in the whole? I don't believe it, but there's a lot of people having him ranked as the 4th best quarterback in this draft class.
He doesn't have a lot of experience.
He should have stayed.
Yeah,
he should stay another year.
He just doesn't have a lot of experience. Like he should have. This should be his 2nd full year of experience.
Last season he was out.
Yeah, or they were. They were alternating quarterbacks when clearly this guy should have been out there a long time ago. I think it really stunted his progression. At times he looks like that guy, and at times he looks like he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Like a lot of young quarterbacks. Does he have all the tools? Fuck yeah, he's got all the tools. He's got a hell of a fucking arm. Obviously the kid can run. I can see why NFL prospects are going to be drooling over him, but he needs more time, man. He's not ready.
He should stay another year in Florida.
He should. Absolutely, he should. He should. He's not ready for the NFL, man. He's just not.
Now, Steg, I know you did kind of touch over the Florida stuff with the players quitting. You know, some player allegedly posted on Instagram saying all right, fuck, I'm out of here or whatever, something like that. Somewhere along.
That was after the LSU game. He had the middle finger. He's like, I'm done with this.
I thought I heard that wasn't. I guess it was misinterpreted.
It was a different guy.
No, I heard that wasn't. He wasn't even talking about the Gators. He was talking about something else. But didn't another guy quit the other day or say some shit?
It was a linebacker.
Yeah.
I'll pull up the guy's name while y'all talk about it. But
I don't know. That could just be the coach weeding out the problem guys too. You know, I don't follow the Gators intimately like I used to, so I don't really know what's
Cox.
Yeah,
he got dismissed from the team, but they never gave a reason why.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll probably have your reason right there. That's what I'll say.
Well, I don't think he was the one. He wasn't the one who quit. He got dismissed.
Is that Brian Cox's son?
I gotta look that up.
Brian Cox that used to play for the Bears and the Dolphins.
Is Brian Cox? That's actually a question here. No, Brian Cox has a son who's. Hold up. There's a Brian Cox who played for Florida, but that was back in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Brenton Cox, I don't know if that's his other son, though.
Maybe.
It might be, actually. Because there's a Brian Cox Jr. and then there's the Brenton Cox Jr. who got dismissed. I don't see anything saying that Brian Cox is his dad.
Anyways, you know, I don't know what's going on there. I talked to a lot of Gator fans, and it's kind of been a mixed bag in regards to how they feel about, you know, the coaching staff this season. I think you got to give the guy a couple more years, man. It's not really his team, not guys he recruited. It's going to take some time. But, you know, back to your original question, Florida or Georgia LSU, if that is the SEC championship game, it's probably going to be better than the national championship game. It'll be a hell of a game.
What's up, Kevin?
Kevin 522.
What's up, Kevin?
Back onto this. We had FSU absolutely trash out Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Not unsurprised.
We saw that a mile away. I said it. I could see it a mile away. And then Mr. Ace was saying, "Oh, I was being so negative and stuff." I'm like, dude, I could see it with my eyes. It's a beatdown coming.
Are either you guys Hurricane fans?
No.
Okay.
I'm
still on a mission right now. I think you guys know what it is. It's to find a Hurricane fan who's actually attended UM. What's up?
I'll say this. My cousin attended UM, and I don't see him repping UM at all.
See, there you go.
Never.
Not a fan.
He attended UM.
Yep. Too smart.
They don't exist. They don't exist.
Way too smart to root for that team. So
45-3. Wow. What do you expect for FSU?
I mean, who else?
I expect pain for Florida State. Okay. I expect that all of those overconfident dudes with their little stupid, you know, whatever this stupid ass chant is, they're gonna go home crying. Okay, that's what I expect. I expect Florida to play the game of the year. It's gonna be very similar to what happened against Miami, but it's gonna be Florida on top. And FSU, I have money on that game. I bet somebody, you know, when I was feeling myself, which could be a mistake. I don't know. So we'll see. I don't watch a whole lot of college football. But yeah, I mean, you know, I'm a typical Florida Gator fan. I'm overconfident for no reason. Fuck FSU.
All right, this is one of the questions we have from JP. Is Clemson out of the playoff? Yes. That a quick, easy yes, right? We can all agree. And this one, so USF fired Jeff Scott late Sunday night. Thankfully, finally, he was 1-26 against FBS schools. It has been brutal. Kevin 522 said FSU is just biding their time to bring in Dion as a head coach.
Oh my god!
Boy, if
USF hired Dion?
That they were talking about.
They were talking about
Simmons maybe for USF, but I don't know.
You think Prime
USF doesn't have to draw.
Prime's got to hold out for something bigger.
Yeah, I can see
Dion's
that happening.
Gonna hold out for a top team.
But I mean, you know, but then the HBCU community is going to be calling Dion a sellout the day when he leaves Jackson State for.
Why? He's done more for HBCU in
exactly
2 years than like. No offense to the HBCU fans, but nobody nationally was talking about HBCU football until Dion got there. So you can say what you want to say, but he's done more for HBCU than anybody in the history of HBCU.
What Dion said, right, was he wants to finish, like, win the Celebration Bowl and the SWAC championship for Jackson State, and then he's going to look to make sure his boys, his coaching staff, are set, right? Because he's getting paid a ton of money with Jackson State, but his coaching staff isn't. So he said, if I am going to go to other pastures, greener pastures, he's going to make sure his boys come with him to get him set too. So that's one of the things that you got to consider when he goes somewhere. It's going to be
Dion might bounce to the NFL, bro. If Jeff Saturday got a fucking coaching job. Okay.
Hey, listen now. I could bring in my Stephen A. face and say, "Oh, it's a race thing." I could bring in my Stephen A. face and say that. So
we all know that's the case for quite a few owners. That's absolutely the case. I won't say it's for all owners, but there are definitely quite a few where that is undoubtedly the case.
10522 said he'll listen to offers but won't leave. Hey, that's what any person should be doing. Always listen to the offers and take what comes up eventually. But like Stank said, I mean, if an NFL team comes calling, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't take that offer, because I mean, like you said, hell, just Saturday got a job. Josh McCown will be the head coach of the Houston Texans next year. That is no doubt in my mind. That's what's going to be the case. And then Carolina is going to be looking for a head coach. We're going to.
Why wasn't he the head coach now? Why was Lovey
McCown?
Yeah, why'd Lovey?
Because of the whole Brian Forrest thing. That was
it was essentially they did it just to appease. I mean, that's even more fucked up if that's what they did. You know what I mean? If
Dion is amazing to coach NFL guys. I think Dion commands a lot of respect from the NFL players, because this generation of players who are coming into the NFL, they grew up watching Dion, so they know what Dion about. Dion is going to be better than most of these players ever will.
So slow down. You're saying people of my generation grew up watching Dion? Is that what you're saying? Listen, I was watching NFL football. Deion Sanders was hosting primetime show on NFL Network when I was watching football. You might be talking about the generation before.
No, like the tape of him is what I mean. They studied that player to improve their own game.
I forget how young you are. I was watching Dion.
You was watching Dion.
I was watching Dion play for the Braves and the Falcons, and and then as obviously he made his way around the NFL and did what he did.
I gotta say though, one thing about
Dion's is like early 2003. Is that correct? Dion's early 2003-ish was his
when
time.
He was drafted.
Yeah, or
like
his playing career.
He was playing in the 90s.
90s.
His career was peak 90s.
So I've told the story before because it's kind of my dirty little secret, but it's really no longer a secret anymore because I've told it so many times to the public. Not that anybody gives a fuck, but I didn't grow up a college football fan. I had no allegiance to any football team, and then I was exposed to Deion Sanders, and I loved Deion. I loved him. I loved everything about him. I even went out and bought FSU charm because I love Deion. I wore this little gold FSU charm. I love Deion. I didn't even watch FSU games. I just loved Deion.
This is coming from a Gators fan, ladies and gentlemen.
No, at the time, I was not a Gator fan. Okay? I wasn't a college football fan. Period. I just loved Deion. This is like when he was a star. He was all over the place. He was so different than everybody else. His swagger was different. So later on in life, I met my first wife, who was going to UF, and I still, like I said, I really watch FSU football. I just love Deion. And then I ended up moving up to Gainesville and happened to be during the Spurrier years when Danny Werfel was there. We won the first national championship, and the rest is history.
And then UF took priority.
Yeah, exactly. I lived the environment. Gainesville is an amazing town, and I fell in love with the team, and threw that FSU charm away, and it will never happen again.
But to this question here, I gotta say, there's been a lot of talk of them, USF, pursuing John Gruden. I'm like, are you out of here?
WADAE kind of floated that rumor out there.
They should not do that. That's the same guy who got his name removed from the Bucks Ring of Honor.
I'm gonna say this right now.
That they can't do that.
If USF in a hypothetical alternate timeout, Ace. We've been talking a lot tonight. Now, in an alternate universe, if if John Gruden does get hired at USF, the social justice warriors are going to be coming out in front of Marshall student centers and probably light that place on fire.
Possibly.
Because USF is a very, I hate to bring into politics, but they're very left leaning, not tolerant if something slips out of your mouth at the wrong time behind doors.
Listen,
and stuff.
if you're willing to overlook, which most people aren't, if you're willing to overlook what occurred in his NFL career, and you're doing it purely based on getting attention, he's a great hire because it's going to be a national story for a long, long time, and it will, I don't know that the smoke will ever dissipate, especially if he doesn't have success as a coach, and he hasn't really been successful as a head football coach for a while now. Do I think he'd take that job? I think he would in a heartbeat. He still lives here in Tampa. If you're willing to forgive and forget as a fan, and everybody has their own opinion with it. It's bigger than football. It's has to do with way more shit than you guys want to talk about on this show. And I'm sure that none of us want to go down that road. None of us.
Because that was a thing to divert blame from Snyder. They put it onto him to get him fired, but he's not
still, he still said or joked or said some off color stuff.
He said some of that stuff.
And who am I to say how anybody else feels about it? You know what I mean? And so I'll just leave it at that. But I do want to go back to what Kevin said. Deion isn't made to coach NFL guys.
Yeah, I bring that up. Here you go.
I think it's a fair I don't say criticism, but a fair observation, because he is selling like his swagger, his persona. That's like his selling point there. That would grow old really quick with a bunch of men in the locker room if he's not producing, or not leading and teaching men and leading them to championships. The transition from coaching college to pro, it's just such a different game. It really is, man.
Yeah, especially when you have guys.
Saw it would rule.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, there's guys always coming in all the time, and you're always teaching a whole different set of kids.
Yeah.
What you know about football. In the NFL, you're stuck with those guys who are over 5-6 years, probably, depending on contracts.
Yeah.
Or depends on who gets traded. So, and
I think he makes a bigger impact in the college ranks.
I think. Mm-hmm. I think he should stay to college ball. I think he would also be more happier in college ball as well, in my personal opinion.
He probably doesn't want to have to deal with the egos and the divas and the money and everything that goes along with coaching grown ass millionaires.
Exactly.
And he probably wouldn't want to deal with ownership breathing down his neck on certain things like you would see with the coach for the Cowboys would have to.
No, listen, the stakes are too high in the NFL. The pressure is real, and a guy like Deion, who's not gonna mince words, who's gonna run his mouth, who's gonna say what's on his mind all the time. There's a reason coaches don't do that in the NFL, because you can't just call players out when they're making
more money than you are,
more than you made in your entire career.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's more tied to it than that.
Then you're gonna have like Kawhi Leonard and Kyrie Irving crying all the time.
And
wanting out.
Kawhi doesn't cry. It's more Kyrie cries. Kawhi just stays down and does his own kind of.
Kawhi cried quietly. Let's put it that way. Kyrie's more vocal about it, but Kawhi was.
There's a reason the Patriots do business like they do. They don't throw money at big free agents typically. I mean, they've kind of changed their tune a little bit here. Over the since Brady's left, and they did actually go out and try to buy some free agents, and they hit with Judon and some of those guys. But historically, they're not going after the big names, because Belichick don't play that shit, bro. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't give a fuck who you are.
He drafts Nicole Strange, who ends up being an elite offensive guard, even though everybody expected him to be late third.
Yeah, so. I mean, they don't necessarily do.
And he nails
it. they draft quantity over quality, and they hit on guys, and everybody criticizes their record in regards to the players they draft, but they always seem to have a pretty solid 22 starters out there, whether they wherever they get them from.
With Jack Jones.
Yeah.
That guy Jack Jones, I think he was a day 3 pick. He just looking to lead for them right now. So, you said, quantity.
It is. It's quantity, right? You chances are, that you draft 3 guys and 2 of them are going to fall on their face, and 1 could be special. And that I think they learned a long time ago that they'd rather have more picks than have the blue chip dudes who bring a price tag and an ego and all kinds of shit.
It's the same thing. You could go on.
No, yeah, I was gonna say I was done.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing with Seattle guys. Like they never do well drafting first round dudes, but third, fourth round dudes, second round dudes somehow turn out to be like amazing players out of nowhere.
Yeah, they're also a franchise that doesn't mind taking a risk on a guy who may have a checkered past. They draft a certain type of personality too. I think a lot of GMs have that, right? They have their types of guys. I say Mickey Loomis drafts angry players. He loves every defensive guy they got on their roster has a chip on their shoulder. That's how they play. That's the type of guy he looks for. You know what I mean? So I think
Jeff Ireland who does that. Since he came, the way how they draft corners has been more different than what Mickey would do. Because that changed when they drafted Marshawn compared to when they drafted Stanley Jean-Baptiste. Just to throw it out. So I'd say that because you watch Alante Taylor, he's covered DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, and Deshaun Jackson now, but he's kept Devontae Adams to 0 catches and DeAndre Hopkins 21. So just like they have those chips, like you said, Stank, that keeps them up. Kevin said epitome of coaching is Belichick, bring the best out no matter rank and skill. And then he have a theory that the Seahawks just drafted poorly early on despite Russell Wilson. Well, the guys they drafted, I want to say LJ Collier, if I'm not mistaken, he's still on the team. He's been playing for them pretty good. You got Rashad Penny. They did hit on him. It's just he hasn't been healthy. Jordan Brooks looks really good. Like they're the first team I know who've lost 2 All-Pro caliber players, and somehow their team got better when they lost both Bobby and Russ. Where Jordan Brooks has stepped into the Bobby Wagner role and he's excelling right now. So I don't know if they drafted early to spite Russ. It's just more they've drafted the lesser known players who just take a couple of years to develop more so than the guys who come in day one and impact. You know what I mean?
I mean, you could make the argument of day one and impact with Kenneth Walker and the DB.
This year they just blew it out the water, but I'm talking about before Russ came.
Oh yeah.
Well, while Russ was there, I mean.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe like.
Why would I don't buy that kind of shit, man. These guys have families. They want to win. I don't give a fuck. Put the bullshit aside. Whether people in that building got along with Russ or not, or whether they got his personality got old or whatever the case. I think they both have gripes, right? I didn't think they did a good job of surrounding Russ with weapons, and he carried that fucking team for many fucking years and did it with a smile on his face. You know what I mean? So you can criticize his personality, but dude, they'll probably never have another quarterback like him there. And it's easy to point fingers and laugh now. I guess because Brady moved to Tampa and won the Super Bowl his first year here, and then Matt Stafford did it again last year, that people just assume that you can just play fucking Frogger and jump to a team and instantly have a Super Bowl. And I think you're gonna find out that it's not that easy. He's finding out it's not that easy.
Oh no,
it's gonna be hilarious when the Broncos just wet the bed rest of the season and they give the Seahawks a top 5 pick, and they just get their pick of either probably Hendon Hooker is gonna be the guy for them, and they just draft a.
I mean, at this point, with all due respect, Ace, I don't even know if the Seahawks would even want to draft a quarterback at the moment with how Geno's been. Now, granted,
they're not drafting a quarterback. They just gave Russ, what what kind of contract does he got, bro? Russ is there for the rest of his career until
not Russ. I'm talking about Seahawks.
Oh,
remember the Broncos gave the Seahawks their pick, so when the Broncos wet the bed, Seahawks wouldn't have a top 5 pick.
I wouldn't even.
Unless they just draft Will Anderson.
Is there a quarterback that's even being?
Pittsburgh's gonna take him.
Is there even a quarterback that's being, that's
outside the top 3?
Yeah, is there a quarterback in college right now that's worthy of a top 5 pick?
In my opinion, no.
I'd say Bryce Young. He's not even been. He's had his ups and downs.
You say Bryce Young?
Bryce Young and Stroud.
I would not even say Bryce Young to be.
Ohio State quarterback's been struggling to convert to the NFL, but that's because of the RPO. So
I mean, in my opinion, I don't think Bryce Young is a top 5. CJ Stroud may have a better argument based on performance alone, but even then, when you look at what CJ Stroud has with Marvin Harrison Jr. and the other guy,
I gotta say
I always this time of year I always forget. Teams become fucking as desperate and horny as a motherfucker for quarterbacks as possible. So of course somebody's gonna get drafted in the top 5, but ultimately, are they worth that?
The quarterbacks this year, I'd say, are way better than the ones we had last year, and there's a reason why the ones last year didn't go in the top 20. But the ones this year, you're watching is like, do they look on par to the hype that the 21 class had, where the 21 class has not lived up to the hype at all? Like, Lawrence and Fields are the best 2 in that class, and they haven't been nearly as close to what they were hyped up to be, or compared to the 2020 class, where you had Herbert, Burrow, and Tua come out, and also Hurts, where somehow the Tua and Hurts class is like Alabama had the greatest quarterback room in college football ever, with both Tua and Hurts.
Mind if I take a timeout real quickly, Ace? For this next segment, we could honestly just skip it through. To be honest, I mean, we're having fun talking football.
The NBA, they have no games tonight for the voting thing for the elections today, but I mean, Kyrie is going to be clearing out his suspension.
So.
I'm fine with skipping NBA,
but that's gonna be much thing. Here we go, Kevin. These QBs are better than last year, but they're underachieving. I'd agree with you. CJ Stroud's had a couple of rough games, and Bryce Young, but also you got to remember the talent level around Bryce Young this year is not even near to what he had last year with Mechie and Jameson. Like, the Alabama receivers this year aren't close to that par, and it's not close to what he had in 2020 with Waddle, Devontae. I don't think Ruggs was with them when he was there. He was with Tua.
No.
You know what I mean. Well, no, 2020 was Mac Jones. My bad. I'm mixing up. These Bama quarterbacks keep coming out.
In my personal short opinion, I think this quarterback class, it's nothing special to be super hyped about, like how the 2020 class was.
This man going to say that, and somehow Bryce Young and Stroud are going to be Hall of Famers, and we'll just be looking back and like.
Well, I mean, at the moment, from what I see, from what I'm seeing right now, I just don't see it at the moment. So,
say what you think about these quarterbacks compared to 2020.
I don't really, like I said, I don't really follow college football that close, man. Obviously,
I know you do.
I know
Draft Express thing.
Yeah, we do, but I wait till the season's over or the Bucks are out of it before I really jump into it. I think the Bucks will potentially.
That is true too. Kevin brought up a great point. I mean, well, the Bengals were bad Burrow's first year. They revamped it in that second year when they brought in Chase. That's when the Bengals took off, when they brought in Chase. Herbert, the team, he wasn't even starting to start the year. Remember, it was Tyrod. He got put in after the wonkiest and wackiest of injuries happened, where his lung got pierced by the doctor.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like they came in immediately started. Just like they had better structured systems compared to.
Let's slow down about Burrow, my friend Kevin. Burrow was drafted to a terrible Cincinnati team.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, but they added weapons.
And
they invested in their quarterbacks compared to where Fields is, where he's.
They did, and I'll say Burrow's a different animal. That kid has something that all the other quarterbacks we've talked about,
It's the intangible.
Only wish they had. He's got a different level of confidence, man. He just does. You know he's undeniable. He may not win a Super Bowl. He could end up being, a Dan Marino type guy, but he's got what it takes. And you look at Trevor Lawrence, he doesn't have that level of maturity yet. You look at it's so too early, man, to pass judgment on any of these young guys. It really is. It just is. But it's going to happen. They're going to pass judgment on them. You just look at Mariota and Winston, how quickly nobody talks about either of them anymore, or that looks at either of them anymore as a potential starting Super Bowl quality quarterback. It goes away. The luster wears off that quick.
It really does. I mean, within their first contract, to be precise.
Yeah.
Hey, Stank, remind me, who was the head coach before Zach Taylor? He was there for like 17 years with the Bengals. I'm drawing a complete blank on his name right now. He was there for like 17 years, and it's not Mike Brown. He's the owner, but I'm trying to remember what his name was. I'll just look up Bengals head coaches. I'm completely forgetting who it was.
There's a quarterback. There was the coach before Zach Taylor, though. And then you're talking
I know. Marvin Lewis.
God, but there was a coach between Zach and Marvin, though. Wasn't there?
Marvin Lewis can't say it. But no, I don't think there was an intern between the two, because remember, Marvin got dismissed, and then Zach Taylor came over because of the Sean McVay hype.
Right. Okay. I thought for some reason they had a coach between the two. Yeah. Marvin was there forever, man.
Well, the 2019 team, that wide receiving core wasn't that great. Like, they brought in they had AJ Green, but AJ Green was hurt a lot of that year. I mean, Joe Mixon was up and down. Like, he wasn't all that. His offensive line was terrible already. Still, the defense wasn't great. I mean, I think Burfict already got probably cut from the team. Like, there wasn't much players on the Bengals. Like, that team wasn't set up immediately.
They made a run with the AJ Green when they had Chad Johnson and
I'm saying when Burrow got drafted that year, before Burrow got drafted, and the year Burrow's rookie year when he got hurt. Remember, because like Burrow had the rookie year, but didn't he tear his ACL that rookie year too?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the Bengals were great beforehand. It was just that rookie year they had some players, but then Burrow got hurt, and they just went down.
They went from the Carson Palmer era to the Red Rocket era to now this.
I can't take Andy Dalton. God,
what do you mean, man?
He's great, dude. Embrace it, bro.
Future New Orleans Saint. He could stay there for 5-6 more years, bro. I love Andy Dalton. Love that fucking guy.
All right, hey, Buffalo Bills. Do I have to jump on a table to become a fan? I'm gonna jump on the table. All right, give me a second.
Listen. Don't do your terrible fan base like that, bro. Don't jump shit. Don't jump shit.
The fans are.
Hey, look at the bright side. Look at the bright side, Ace. At least Jameis is not out there risking an injury, and instead of Andy Dalton's taking the hits. You look at it that way.
Are you a Jameis believer?
I have more belief
I am
in
a Justin Fields believer.
I have more belief in Jameis Winston over whatever the hell they have going on in New Orleans. I think they're the best quarterback.
Let me tell you my 5-step plan, right? It is a fail-proof plan, right?
Okay.
It is.
You are now the GM of the New Orleans Saints. Okay.
Yeah, I am firing.
Like I said, Jeff Saturday got hired. I just read TMZ or fucking ESPN just reported. Ace is the new GM of the fuck. Go. So what are your moves, man? I'll get Jono Barnes on here. You guys can run the team together.
Jono chilled though.
Jono's my boy. Jono's my boy.
But yeah, so you fire Dennis Allen and Pete, right? Both of them got to go. Your next step is you're either hiring EB from Kansas City or you're giving Ken Dorsey. You get a call, right? You're gonna bring.
Wait, before you go any further, what kind of fucking what's wrong with Eric Bieniemy?
That is a question. I don't know. I don't know if he's a Byron Leftwich situation where once the other guy goes, he just becomes like irrelevant and not knowing what the hell he's doing, or where I thought was the case was that Saints head coaching search was a scam.
Right.
It was just it was a con show that they already knew exactly who they were gonna.
I'm not even talking about why you guys didn't hire Eric Bieniemy. Why hasn't anybody hired Eric Bieniemy?
I don't know. I wanted EB. I thought they were gonna hire him once they said 8-hour interview, but I'm like, back in my mind, nah, they're gonna stick with Sean and that whole culture thing he built, and they're gonna say, "All right, DA." Sean basically gave DA the job.
Right. They did what they did. They did exactly what they did exactly what
I would see Stank would say on Twitter. I'm sorry.
What you were saying, Stank?
No, I was saying the Saints and the Bucks did the exact same thing this offseason. They made the exact same decision,
except at different points. So the Bucks didn't have to do a full head coaching search like the Saints did. Because remember, they had to comply with the Rooney Rule.
Right.
When Sean retired, compared to where BA retired later in the off season, where the deadline to do all the protocols necessary for that had to take place. But then you're like, well, the Saints interviewed Aaron Glenn and Brian Flores to satisfy the Rooney Rule. So you're like, then why bring in EB if you're not going to hire him because you already knew you were going to give the job to DA? Yeah. Which had me confused. But my whole thing was, all right, if you get rid of them this year, you bring in either Dorsey or EB, and you go call Chicago because Chicago's going to end up with the top 5 pick, I think. And that GM, that general manager, whole staff, right, up there in that front office in Chicago, they're going to have a new stadium coming in, but they didn't draft Justin Fields, right? And this plan came in before Fields started to start cooking with his legs, even though the arm hasn't been showing it, right? Where you're like, well, if we get a top 2 pick and we have a chance at Stroud or Young, do you take those guys and you move Fields for some more picks?
But you have nothing to trade. Else? You traded away all your picks.
I ain't done.
Oh, okay, that's right. You're counting on the Sean Payton sweepstakes.
The Sean Payton sweepstakes. Someone gave 2 first-round picks. Right, that we're gonna give up 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns, right?
They did give up
a first for Bradley Chubb. If a defensive end is gonna get a first-round pick, and head coaches are hard to come by, if Sean doesn't F you over and he does come back to coach next year, you're gonna get at least 2 firsts and 2 seconds from him, like how John Gruden did.
Answer this question? I heard that after the Bucks did what they did and traded, basically mortgage their future for Gruden, which ended up being the right decision because they won a Super Bowl. I heard the NFL changed the rules with what you're allowed to trade for a quarterback for a coach. Am I wrong?
No, you can still trade first for them.
Can you? Is there a limit? Is there a limit to how much you can trade?
I don't know if there's a limit. I don't know, but I know you could trade for first. So Nick Underhuddle has a story where it's like they're gonna probably get a first, but unless Mickey Loomis does the really stupid thing, which is a possibility. Sorry, Kevin. Sean Payton wants to charge his job. He's already softly confirmed it with an interview on Colin Coward. Yeah, I agree with that. But if Brandon Staley doesn't make this year, which I don't think he makes this year, even with the injuries for the Chargers, given their record and their situation, you're like, okay, head coaches are hard to come by. Chargers are going to want to maximize Justin Herbert. You take advantage. You get the first-round pick for this year, next year, and the second-round picks, right? So you have 2 firsts and 2 seconds between the next 2 years, essentially. Because remember, the Saints traded their second from this next year to the Eagles. So you're going to have the 2 firsts, 2 seconds, right? You go call up Chicago. You take one of those picks, either the first and one of the seconds, either your own second this year and the first this year to go to Chicago. So Chicago gets more assets to rebuild their whole team because they need the help. You bring in Justin Fields, and you have either Bieniemy or Dorsey to help develop the quarterback. But with Justin Fields, he needs to develop the mind, which is where you go give your old boy Drew Brees a call and say, hey, Drew, I know you're a family man. You didn't go like Tom. You focus more on family than the football aspect. But if you ever want to come over, be the quarterback coach, you ain't got to do much. Just got to develop Justin Fields to read a defense. You go with that whole plan. You have a Ken Dorsey, Eric Bieniemy head coach, Justin Fields your quarterback, and you got Drew Brees as the quarterback coach to help him develop and learn how to progressions and throw football, essentially. So you fix the quarterback situation, you fix the offense situation, and the defense I am not worried about because you hired a defensive coach to be your head coach, right?
But yet your
run defense knows it's a run play and they can't stop it, and your defense is bottom 5 in the league.
With all due respect, you're still overhyping Justin Fields in my book. Sorry, but not sorry.
I also think I don't see any way that Chicago
moves him now after this. My whole plan came before Justin Fields started cooking the last 3 weeks. But if Chicago did it, that would be great. But I don't know if Justin Fields would want to stay in Chicago because he knows, I think, with respect, that's a Madden scenario. What, paying for Justin Fields with first-round picks? Hey, have you been seeing what these players are going for if they have contract years?
With respect, that's a Madden.
I don't play Madden anymore, so I don't know if you can say that. I kicked that one up, but I'm just saying you need to redo that whole coaching staff. Like the culture got to change because they focus on the culture. They got rid of their energy in Chauncey because they didn't want to pay him. They said, and you seen Chauncey just go bring the juice to
Isn't he leading? He's leading the league in interceptions right now.
Mm-hmm. Saints have 2 interceptions, both by Tyron, who's more focused on business decisions instead of tackling. But
yeah, I enjoyed that move of getting
Chauncey.
Chauncey.
Yeah, I know you did.
Dumbass. I'm a Gator fan, bro. And I want to slap the taste out of his mouth.
I was upset that day. All right. But
I remember seeing Stank on Twitter. He was the happiest man I seen.
Yeah, dude.
I was a saddest fan.
I was like, wow, Christmas came early, bro. Y'all got rid of that dude who was that energy out there. I think the defense definitely lost a step without him for sure. Now you just gotta get rid of Lattimore too.
Lattimore and Lattimore and
I don't know. I enjoy seeing Mike Evans and Lattimore.
I actually have fun watching it. I really don't care what those two do.
You know what? How about this? Let me ask this right now.
Lattimore holds the whole game and cheats, and Mike gets pissed.
Mike Evans pushes off,
and it's just.
Let me ask you this: What is up with Mike Evans right now? I really want to know. I'm curious. I've seen him drop so many passes the last 3 weeks. But that's not to do with his hands though. Like he's dropping them on his hands. It's not like body catches that he's dropping. Like what is up with that?
I have a rule, bro. Never question Mike Evans. That's a rule I have. You never.
Good. All right, so hang on. Hey,
dude. Listen, you can hate him. You can. I don't care where you come from. That guy never complains, ever, and he always plays hurt. You won't know it when that guy is so beat the fuck up. I wouldn't be surprised right now if he doesn't have crack ribs.
No, he does. I have a feeling he does.
Yeah. Listen, why receivers drop balls, man? I'm sorry, Flash. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. Because I was like dumbfounded when I saw that Carolina game when Tom Brady had a dime to Mike Evans and he just dropped it, and I was I was like confused what's going on for a second.
It happens.
But since he's dropped like 5 passes, which is just not like him. I thought he's always had good hands. I'm like, what's going on with him? He dropped 3 against the Rams.
Listen, on the Super Bowl run, Chris Godwin was going through that shit. He was dropping everything. That's the guy who, makes the most spectacular fucking catches. Every receiver goes through a stretch like that where they get the yips a little bit with their hands. Most guys recover without you really worrying about it too much. I don't worry about that guy, dude. I just don't. He does it for the right reasons. He's not about anything but winning for his team. But yeah, he's banged the fuck up right now. That entire receiving corps banged up. Godwin's still not 100%. Gage won't be 100% all year. Julio is the walking dead. Scotty Miller's wide receiver 1. I've said it since
Scotty Miller's dropping wide open touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean,
contagious, bro.
Hey, as Stank said, it is a phase. I do have a question, because we do have both Ace and Stank on together. I'm actually quite curious what to expect this next matchup between the Bucs and the Saints when it happens in December. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Next home game. I honestly don't know. I mean, we could very well be talking about that. This division is so fucking stupid that the Saints could be leading the NFC South by the time that rolls around.
God, please no. I do not want them to win this division.
NFC South.
I don't want them to win this division. I need Dennis Allen fired. I do not want to see Dennis Allen next year. I need his ass fired.
I don't know, man. You throw the records out. It doesn't matter what the records are. It's going to be a weird fucking game. It's not going to go like either.
It could be the Falcons. Marcus Mariota goes to the playoffs.
Hey, what the Falcons win? I don't care.
Watch Baker Mayfield rise from the ashes, and lead the Panthers.
He came in against the Bengals, and I'm like, Baker threw 3 TDs in the
bro. If their kicker makes a kick, they're also where it would have been a 4-way tie in the division if their kicker could make a fucking kick.
Hey, wait. Let me ask you this: is the Panthers O-line bad? Is it like super bad or is
their O-line isn't terrible?
No, they're not bad.
They haven't got
trade for Jameson. what could happen?
They have a good defense. I don't know. I mean, nobody wants to win this division. Really, nobody deserves to win this division. And if the NFL made the decision to not let any of these teams into the playoffs, I
would put 3 teams from the NFC East plus there's no other teams, like Seattle's gonna win the West. I guess you could put San Francisco in the 3 teams from the East. Just like forfeit the NFC West, South and put Seahawks and Niners, and then the 3 teams from the East, the Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants.
Does anybody want to see a 7-win Brady in the fucking playoffs? No, I mean that like
Brady's gonna get abused regardless.
Fuck around and let him
against
go.
The Vikings, the Vikings, who will be the 2 seed. That game is prime time. The Bucs will win that game.
Right.
Oh, prime time. Yeah,
you already know we own the Eagles. All right. You did see how we completely, and I get it, they're a different team right now, but fuck the Eagles. We dismantled them in the playoffs last year. That wasn't Jalen Hurts played terrible. They had nothing for us. That game was a fucking sleeper. I'm not scared of the Eagles. I think they're fake as fuck, to be honest with you.
They got the easiest schedule. Even if they have the most wins against teams over 500, like that,
You telling me we don't have to see Green Bay? We don't have to see New Orleans? And we get in on the wild card? Like the NFC, nobody scares me.
Wait, no, they wouldn't play Minnesota, because Tampa would be the division winner, so they would be the 4th seed. And they'd probably play
We'd have a home playoff
Cowboys.
Game. Yeah,
it would be a home playoff game against
with
the Cowboys.
The wild card game, a team would come here.
Yeah, but it'll be the Cowboys because they beat the 5 seed.
And we already beat the Cowboys.
Exactly. So I'm saying like the Bucs would win.
You know what? I love how you two low-key agree with each other, but try to sound like you disagree somehow. I love it. I don't know why, but I think it's hilarious.
Disagreeing though, we agree on this. The NFC South is
you guys cannot even communicate that you all agree together. It's just like you all are terrible at communicating that you agree, and I think it's hilarious when you agree.
It's okay, man.
I'm the Swaggy P meme right now. I'm like,
but all right.
But y'all got anything else? I'm gonna call this a night.
This has been fun, dude. Go ahead, Flash. I feel like we have talked over you the entire podcast.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad. All right, Flash, get going.
This is a Flash segment. Go ahead, Flash.
Come on.
All right. So, yeah, I do agree. The Eagles are kind of fake at the moment. Do I think they could scare some teams in the playoffs? Absolutely, but I guess if the Buccaneers were healthy and they had shit right, they would lose still to like that Buccaneers team. They would lose this for crying out loud. I could even say that those Eagles teams will lose to Seattle at the moment how they've been playing. Now I know some people may say I'm crazy, but I do think that is true.
And well, what's not the news, but potential teaser. Stephon Diggs said rejoice. I know that's like something else, but I assume that's for Josh Allen's injury if he knows, because they're going to address it tomorrow.
I would say that's Josh Allen.
But I was saying OBJ to Buffalo.
That it's either OBJ to Buffalo or Josh Allen is fine.
I think I would say the latter.
UCL injury. I'd assume it's for Josh Allen though.
Actually,
let's talk about Odell. Actually, that's a good question. Where do you think Odell should go, Stank? Or sorry, Flash. You finish your thing, and then I'll have that.
No. I'm curious about Odell, but let me talk after you speak about Odell. Yeah. I'm curious.
What do you think?
I mean, he's ring chasing. So whoever the flavor of the week is, he's gonna end up holding out as long as he possibly can, and then trying to ring chase. I mean, clear. It's pretty clear. I thought Buffalo, but then Buffalo took it on the chin a little bit last week, and then now Josh Allen's a little bit banged up. So who knows?
Eagles.
Nah, I don't see him in Philly.
God,
I think it'd be Dallas.
It,
He'd go to Dallas
the
before
Giants.
he goes to Philly.
The Giants fans would murder him if he ended up going to the Eagles.
Or the Giants, but Giants would have to pay him for him to deal with.
He is not going back to.
He's not going back to Giants. That's not happening, Ace.
His family. He's not going to go play with Daniel Jones.
Exactly.
That's not happening.
Yeah, like, that's not happening. I think it'd be Dallas.
He has a better chance of playing in Philly than that happening.
He's not coming. Right. He's not coming to the Bucks, even though that's been flirted. I think it's either now Dallas is saying they'd love to see him, which I could kind of see. It seems like he'd be.
CD's getting done.
I just do not see.
CD's been open a bunch.
I do not see the Cowboys as like a ring chasing team at the moment, as how they are right now.
Their defense is good though. I got to give them credit. Their defense is good in Dallas.
It's good, but
Dak hasn't looked good this whole year. Like before injury and after injury, he has not looked good. Like his progression, CD's been open on so many plays the last 2 games, and he just hasn't looked his way. Like he's just been dumping it down to the tight end or to Tony Pollard. Albeit Tony Pollard has looked good, but then again, Zeke is playing this weekend. For some reason, Jerry Jones thinks $18 million to him makes him have to start, which I guess if you're paying him $18 million, you have to start him. But,
all right. Last question. Playoff. What happens in the playoffs? What if Seattle makes the playoffs, which they most likely will? Would it be a first round outing? Would it be a second round outing? Could they make it to the championship? As of now,
I'm gonna first start off by saying I think the 49ers somehow end up winning that division.
It's very possible.
Yeah, but if Seattle, this teams like that have so much to prove are always dangerous, man, because they're kind of playing with house money. Nobody believed in Seattle, which is what makes. To
be fair, none of us believed. I went into the season.
Nobody did.
All right. This is going to be a fun tanking season. Let's just have fun with it.
No,
I gotta say, their play calls this year have been so much more creative than what they've been in the last 5 years.
Well, as I said, one of the reasons why is because they fired
Geno Cook.
Well, no, not just like Geno Cook thing. It was they fired Ken Norton, the worst offensive coordinator I've ever seen in history.
But the OC this year is the same one as last year, though.
Yeah, but I mean, you saw like some sort of flashes of Geno, like, okay, this guy could be a solid, decent quarterback, but you're not seeing Geno as he is this year. Russell Wilson, on the other hand, he just looks stagnant, and a lot of the dark sides of what you see of Russell Wilson last season is what you're seeing right now in Denver. In fact, probably more of it right now in Denver than what you saw.
Who wins the AFC East?
Kansas.
That's AFC East, not
AFC
West.
East.
Oh, oops.
Buffalo has struggled against the division teams for some reason, albeit it was both road games, and it's still early. But if I got to say fully healthy, I still got to go Buffalo and then New York. Well, no, Miami. I keep forgetting about Miami. Miami could sneak in, though, to win the division.
And
Miami might literally
New England, which is
dominant. Forget about New England's offense is just poverty. Oh my god, I don't know why Bill thought Matt Patricia at OC is a good idea, but it's just been I can't watch the Patriots.
New England's 5-4.
Like they're winning games, but it's just so hideous to watch.
And you guys want to throw dirt on the Chargers? They're 5-3.
That is.
I didn't say anything about the Chargers.
I throw the dirt on the Chargers, albeit they're figuring out now to win.
Did you know that Ace was a Chargers fan before he was a Saints fan and a Steelers fan? He was a Steelers fan. He was a Big Ben
Chargers
fan.
And Breeze went to Saints, and I just rolled over.
You're too young to be like the Junior Seau era Chargers fan. The Drew Brees,
San Diego big boys.
The Drew Brees era Chargers fan.
Yeah, I wasn't a Phillip Rivers era Chargers fan. We were the Drew Brees the Saints, but that was like Pee Wee version of me, like the 2-year-old, 3-year-old, starting to watch football fan. But
did you know he became a Saints fan during that Super Bowl?
The AFC playoffs is going to probably come out to be where he's going to see Baltimore win the North. I see probably Buffalo or Miami winning the East. Tennessee is going to win the South because the South is just god awful. And did I say the West, right? Kansas City is going to be the West.
Yeah,
the North is, I said all 4 teams are going to win the division.
Jeff Saturday led Colts team isn't going to rally and win that division.
Hey, maybe Jim
AFC South is terrible. AFC South is pretty bad.
What's worse, the AFC South or the NFC South?
NFC, because at least the Titans with Ryan Tannehill and Traylon will come back. I don't know, but Derrick Henry's the best player out of everybody, so who knows? As long as they got Henry and they keep the games close, they got a chance. But, the wild card will probably come out to be Cincinnati. I don't know if the Deshaun-led Browns figure it out and pull it off. Maybe. The Browns looked good last week before the bye. So Browns, Bengals, toss up there. Then you're going to have the Dolphins and maybe the Jets sneak in with the Chargers.
All right, here's my last question. Who is the first pick in the NFL draft?
It's going to go. Houston's going to have the first pick, and it will probably be Bryce Young, I think, or Will Anderson.
Houston.
I don't know. I mean, I mean, if Houston's a smart organization, I would see them taking up someone defensively, like a defensive end.
They need a quarterback. Davis Mills ain't it, bud.
You could get a backup.
First year as a starter.
I mean,
second year.
Listen,
he started
the majority of last year.
Did he start the majority?
He started 13 games last year.
Okay, you're right.
He started the same amount of games as Tua, and he had identical numbers last year, but Tua figured it out this year with Tyreek and Waddle.
Yeah, well, it kind of helps when you have weapons.
Yeah.
And they have
and Brandon Cook's gone, so
who's catching balls there in Houston?
Yeah, Brandon Cook said, I'm out. Nico Collins said, I'm out.
That's what I'm saying. Like you can throw dirt on that quarterback, but he ain't got nobody.
I actually believe in Davis Mills, but the Eagles did make short work of them because Dameon Pierce is him. So
yeah,
like we didn't talk about this in the NCAA section, but Dan Mullen's handling both Dameon Pierce and Malik Davis, because Malik actually looked good against Chicago when he played for Dallas the other week. Like that was the biggest mismanagement of 2 running backs I've probably ever seen.
And terrible fucking coach.
And I'm the number one guy that wishes downfall on Malik Davis because Jesuit and how much yards he got against us.
All right, but guys, y'all got anything else? Bryce Young or Will Anderson for you, Stank?
I haven't really watched enough Will Anderson to
or Jalen Carter from Georgia.
Let's put a pin in that and let's talk.
You asked. I had to ask.
Give me a little time to evaluate those guys.
All right, next time I'll bring it back.
Next show,
we will bring it back. We will bring it back.
Give me a little homework, and I'll tell you which one I would take, because I feel like the Bucs might be in the quarterback market. I don't know what Trask is if Brady does retire. Even though
Brady's gonna be a free agent this year, and there are talks of him going elsewhere.
I don't see him leaving.
I don't see him leaving.
I don't see him going and starting over again somewhere else. He either retires or he comes back.
He's too old to leave again. I just
46-year-old Tom. I don't know how he does.
Okay, he's not taking Tua's job, right?
No,
the 49ers. I guess is an option.
49ers, maybe. The 49ers got a squad over there.
They just invested and traded so much for
McCaffrey.
No, McCaffrey and the quarterback.
And Lance.
Trey Lance. Like, so you're gonna bring Brady in there for a year?
Hey, San Francisco rebuilt the Dolphins. So let's be real. Like Trey Lance helped make Miami to a juggernaut in the movie.
I just can't see him uprooting everything and starting over again as a divorcee when he's got $300 and something million waiting for him to sit behind a desk and retire. If he wants to play, he doesn't have to leave.
Honestly, Tom would make a really good coach. I don't know why I think that, but I
almost thought you said Tom may make a really good Saint. I almost thought you were going to go there, bro. I wouldn't do that. Just for a second, almost like
Tom Brady would never do that.
What do you think of him being the coach? Like, what do you think of him being a head coach eventually? Or does he take the 300 and just talk?
He'd be a hell of a coach, bro. Like, who's gonna fucking
his mind would make it illegal.
Yeah, who's not gonna listen to that guy? Who's in that locker room and is going to be like, man, Tom don't know what he's talking about. Or who's going to ever say that? He would make a hell of a coach. He could do that, but I see him going the Hollywood route, collecting that easy $300 million from Fox. Like making movies, fucking strippers and models and things like that. Just living that star life. God, coaching is so many hours, bro. Look at every head coach's eyes. They all look like they're dead inside. All of them. It's so much stress, bro. All of them. Or they're Botoxed up like Sean McVay with some fake ass fucking, you know what I mean? Like none of them look happy. It is the most stressful job on the planet.
That is gold right there. McVay, like that play calling in McVay, man. When I watched that game, I'm like, he's either lost it or the Rams' execution is that bad. I really don't know. He just lost.
How the hell Pete Carroll could keep up his job? I just want to know. Even
Pete Carroll's got,
wanted Pete Carroll fired.
Like Pete Carroll found the fountain of youth. Like he found a Ponce de Leon and he got the fountain of youth. Like
Pete's that grandpa, bro. You can't fire Pete, dude. He's out there having fun. Grandpa. Yeah, bro. Like grandpa. Yeah, there's no way Seattle gets rid of Pete. Pete will go out on his own terms, and he pretty much deserves to, because it was such. I mean, it was such like the Bucks. It was such a job that nobody in the world would ever want for so long, and Pete made it a fucking destination. He built that place, bro. There was no 12th man before Pete Carroll. They didn't have that stadium. They didn't have nothing there, bro. When I was a kid, the Bucks and the fucking Seahawks, which came in together in 1976, both laughing stocks, and never really flirted with very much success. So Pete's gonna go out when he's ready. He's like fucking 70-some years old, isn't he?
He's the oldest coach in the NFL.
Yeah, he is. Actually, you know what year did Pete Carroll started again?
05, 06?
Oh, he was he was the Patriots coach before Belichick.
And then he went USC.
The Patriots to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but then he left to go USC, and then he went to Seattle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure, because I was wondering, was he the coach of that other Seattle Super Bowl team that lost with Darryl Jackson?
The Hasselbeck. Yeah, he was the coach for the Hasselbeck team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. All their success came under Pete Carroll.
Yeah. Then Pete Carroll got to stay. You don't fire Pete Carroll like that. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple.
He'll eventually retire, but why would he, man? He looks like he's having too much fucking fun.
Sean McVay will retire before Pete Carroll.
He should have 2 Super Bowls if they didn't, if they would just give Marshawn the ball.
You think Pete Carroll could win another one in Seattle before he retires? Assuming how long he stays.
Of course.
The NFC, you just get the right piece. That NFC is wide open. Like the first team to get an elite young QB is the one that's going to run that conference. Like
I would say it's unlikely it's going to happen this year, but
not this year.
It's unlikely this year, but
I mean, they have the pieces to put something together for next year.
Unless Geno just stays playing at the level he's playing at now, it would probably be the greatest Super Bowl story in the history.
What year did Kurt Warner start running it with the Rams?
Okay, maybe outside of that. Kurt Warner went from bagging groceries to winning Super Bowl.
No, I don't know, but I'm saying there was a quarterback who he was like mediocre his whole time, but that last 5 years from like 31 to 36, he just went nuclear.
Kurt Warner went from being an arena league quarterback, and then what's his face? The got fucking murdered in the preseason. He came off the bench. Mike Martz in that fucking Greatest Show on Turf just fit his arena style. It was just a fucking fast break on turf. And they happened to have fucking Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt and, a guy named Marshall Faulk that nobody knew about. Jesus Christ, that offense was incredible. That was one of the best offenses I've ever witnessed. They were unstoppable. That fast break football is kind of what started. There was no RPO shit now. I mean, the college games kind of bled into the NFL, and so teams are running a lot more than that than they used to. But go back and watch some of those games with, like, they couldn't be stopped, man. It was a wild offense to watch.
Sounds like I have some homework to do to watch some older Kurt Warner Arizona Cardinal games.
I just realized
I'm talking about St. Louis Rams.
St. Louis Rams.
Watch St. Louis Rams.
Was it 04 or 03?
The greatest show on turf.
What year was that? It was somewhere between 03 and 05.
Yeah.
I'm mixing up the years, but I'm gonna say let's wrap this up. Stank yawning. It's been almost 2 hours.
Yeah, bro. I'm not used to doing 2-hour podcasts. This was fun.
This was actually a good conversation. Everybody got their piece.
Listen, I was looking forward for a long time to have Stank come back.
I enjoy it, man. I don't get to talk on my own podcast, bro, because this is why I interrupt so much, Flash. I'm really sorry. Because on my podcast, if I don't interrupt, I never get to talk. Because Sammer and fucking Latte will just talk the entire fucking time. I just hear like,
hey,
listen,
tell people where to find you. I'm putting the
Ace complains that I usually interrupt. I'm like, you know what? Let me not be bad. I'm gonna let Stank and Ace talk because
you probably have to.
Yeah,
him and Jordan talk the whole time, so you have to interrupt. I know. Listen, I feel you, Flash.
No, actually, he talks more than me on the regular shows. He talks more than me. I have to interrupt to say anything.
Where can you find me? Just Stank Bastard on Twitter. I'm at Stank Bastard on Instagram and all that shit too. But I really don't ever do anything on those.
But what about the Buccanidiots podcast or
Buccanidiots hasn't recorded since early last year. I plan on bringing it back in a completely different format. I miss I originally started that podcast as audio only, and I had a whole lot of fun with it. So I'm gonna do something weird next year. I've even thrown around the idea of bringing puppets into my podcast, just me and some puppets. So it's the weirdest show you'll ever fucking listen to or watch. You can try to go back and watch some of the old shit, but most of the audio podcasts have been wiped. It eventually will come back, and I'll be happy to promote it on your show when I do
come back to give us our answer on who
you can hear me 3 times a week with the Loose Cannons. Find us on Loose Cannons on YouTube. It's
Loose Cannons, not Loose Cannon. Right.
Loose Cannons Podcast, the Loose Cannons Podcast, hosted by me, Samurai Lee, and Christian Perez or Poppy Latte. We always have great fucking guests on. It's we don't talk much football. It is a Buccaneers podcast, but we're usually talking about dicks and weird sexual innuendos for at least 40 of the 60 minutes we're recording. It's just a whole lot of fuckery. Even if you don't like Bucs football, you will like our show because it's ridiculous. It really is.
But with that being said, thank you, Stank Bastard, for coming on tonight for the last of our record-setting episode. We all had fun.
I think I waited for over a year for Stank to come back on.
I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to keep you edging.
Man, got life, man. Got a good run and gun tomorrow at 8. Hey, before you go, let me ask you this. This is our me and JP's question we're gonna run tomorrow. What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish before we head out?
I make $100 mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
No,
okay.
I make $100 mac and cheese.
Oh,
the ingredients in my mac and cheese cost me $100.
Okay.
I can't divulge what I put into it, but
hey, we can vibe with that. We make our own type of mac and cheese. It's like a pie, though. We make it as like a casserole.
Mine's a casserole. Mine's a casserole.
I put like 4 different cheeses, but if $100 cheese, oh boy, I can't do that, man. That's
$100 mac and cheese. Yeah.
That was a good answer.
And I'm a cheap person, so to say that I put love into this thing, yeah. My favorite dish is that. I also do a turkey, but I bone it, so it's very similar to the way Cubans do roast pork. That's how I do my turkey. So I cook it in a bag, then I completely bone it, and I marinate it in mojo and chicken broth. And it's different, much more juicy for people who don't like dry turkey. Mine's different. It's not the traditional, you can bring the fucking knife out and carve it. It's ready to go. So it's a little bit different.
Can't go wrong with that.
Tampa style turkey is what I call
it. Fair enough.
Ironically, ours is we'd use it's a Creole Cajun butter that we inject into and then smoke it on the apple wood.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, this household likes to smoke the meats sometimes. Like at least when it comes to at least
our mother maybe.
I don't judge. You like smoking meat? I don't judge. I'm not here to judge. Me too, bro. Listen, I have I am not good with the pellet grill. I'm like one of those people, even though it should be like pretty self-explanatory. I have a terrible track record of ruining food on the smoker. I don't know. I can't understand cook times. I watched YouTube channels and like, here's the brisket. And you do it this way. And it turns out to be like a shoe at the end of the fucking day.
We
like,
have a Weber.
Awful.
We have a Weber one. It's like an egg almost, but it's not an egg, but it's like an oval, and then you have to curve up one. But
yeah,
it's shaped like
keep it in the smoke range, but it's about a pound a minute. Or not a pound a minute, pound an hour. Give or take on the temperature, but you gotta make sure it has proper circulation in the.
It's a science, and I'm not. It's like baking almost. You have to just kind of know how to finesse it. I caught an entire rack of ribs on fire in my smoker.
Nah, we're elite when it comes to grilling smoker. It's like kind of iffy on the time.
Oh no, I'm good on the grill. I'm terrible.
Grill's fine, but
on the pellet smoker, I'm not good. My chicken wings
I started smoking meats like during my TC days. Okay. I just like doing it. I had a redneck buddy, and he would always come over. And
our mother's country. She's a
wannabe country lady, but she don't eat pork or beef.
I take it back. There's one thing that I murder on the pellet smoker, and that's salmon. I smoke the.
But you can't have it this week.
I can't. Yeah,
no salmon. No salmon.
No salmon this week. Yep.
The thing is, the salmon from Seattle is like top tier too. If you get it ordered from Pike's Market shipped down here, you could taste a massive difference.
It's probably a place I'd like to visit because I heard that some of the
Tampa
best.
Came back from down 3-1 on the what's it called, the Oilers, so now tied 3-3.
I love sushi, and I heard they have elite sushi there in Seattle too. So
I did not get to try Seattle sushi, but
San Fran sushi. If you go into the city, not like the tourist area, but you got to go into the city and find where the Japanese places are, like the actual ones. Now that's where you get the good sushi.
Favorite sushi place? What's y'all's favorite sushi place?
In Tampa, it's like bouncing around depending on the time of the year.
I think it's probably Sushi Alive.
It's over on by West Chase. So.
Yeah, I've been there. Very good. My dad loves that place.
I mean, if you got a better place for me to check out, I'll be more than happy to check it out. I wouldn't say it's a hole in the wall, but it is a hole in the wall. Okay, there's a place in
ain't nothing wrong, no hole in the walls.
There's a place in Ybor. Okay, I'm not talking about Samurai because everybody knows where that's at in Ybor City. All right, there's a place in Ybor called the Ybor Sushi House. Okay, it's a little bungalow, and it's got about 7 or 8 tables in there, and it's the most fire sushi you'll ever eat in your life, dude.
In Tampa, at least.
Most fire sushi in Tampa, bar none. They have a Tampa roll in there that has roast pork, guava, and crab in it.
Oh hell, sum me up. I like that. That's a good.
Okay. We're going.
Bro, and a plantain in it. The sweet plantain in it. It is one of the most delicious things your mouth will ever touch. It's so fucking good. They do weird shit like that. Like they have their traditional rolls and things like that. Best edamame I've ever had in my life there too. They do like a smoked, sweet, hoisin fucking edamame that it's dumb. You can't stop eating it. It's amazing. So try it out.
That's it.
You got sauce style crab?
I don't know.
I put it in the notes, VJ. Ace. Yeah, you'll get to see it soon enough. Once again, everybody, I kind of have to tell everyone we got to cut this short, even though we've been in here for 2 hours. Got to talk about some great food, some great football.
Hey, just 3 guys enjoying life and sports. What are we gonna say about that?
Yeah, bro, this is the kind of podcast I like. We just talk shit. It's fun. Love it.
Exactly. I mean, listen, we'll be more than happy to bring it back on soon. Trust me.
I love it, man. And next time maybe Jordan can join us too. So
yeah, JP's will be on. He has a elective class these last 3 weeks, so he's been occupied on Tuesdays, which is why I've been running it for the first time in all ever. So we just been kind of winging it as we go. But he should be back on by next year, starting next year. Because Running Gun has 2 more episodes once the Florida Classic hits November 19th. That will be our last episode on Running Gun. This should be going up until first week December, and then we'll come back after Christmas to finish out the NFL playoffs. So if anything, we'll see if we can get
week 18. Would you say?
for the.
I would probably say let's do week 18. last week of NFL football.
Hit me up. I'm down.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
We'll keep it up. But with that being said,
we can talk shit about how terrible our teams are, and who knows at that point. We'll see who wins the NFC South. Carolina's going to win the NFC South.
Baker Mayfield in
the playoffs. That's what's happening, bro.
Look at that happens.
We will see the Baker Mayfield that beat the Steelers in that playoffs that one year. That's what we're going to be seeing.
Hey, Baker Mayfield, if he didn't
DJ Moore is going to be Jarvis Landry.
That's like Baker Mayfield almost beat Kansas City. That's how wild that Browns thing was before we got hurt. But hey, thanks for so much for this episode, guys.
Once again, it's a must. I do this. Congratulations again for Tampa Catholic for breaking that 22-year streak. Congratulations for Jared McIntyre. Yeah, fuck you all the way.
I go for both of them. I go like this. Don't worry. I have a grudge against both of them. They have a thing.
Why you got a grudge against TC? For what?
Both of them, they did not want to give me an academic scholarship at all. So I just went IB and it was cheap as I did not want to pay for school. So I was like, let me just go the IB route. They didn't want to give me money. I feel
you on that. Paying for school, overrated.
I don't like paying for school. That's why
it was worth it for me. In my case, it was
you're the one paying for it. Because I'm paying for a child there.
It had me annoyed because like kids would just like they changed where they live. Like they'd be living with their parents, but they say legally they live with their grandparents, so they're on the certain poverty line. Yep. So they get free schooling, and I'm like,
step up.
I just got mad with that, so I just went public school. So I have a grudge against both of those schools because I got in, but they didn't want to give me any money, so I don't like either. But with that being said, be a friend, tell a friend, like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for this episode. Flash is very happy TC won.
Time out. I do need to put it out there. Oklahoma Sooners fans need to be excited about Lewis Carter. That man is different. He is different, ladies and gentlemen. He is going to make a massive impact in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, or Zorma, Oklahoma. Wherever University of Oklahoma is, that guy's going to make a massive impact. And I've seen it on his tape. He's something else. Both sides of the field. He's just different.
Explain who Lewis Carter is for those who don't know. Nobody knows who Lewis Carter is.
Lewis Carter is a primary linebacker that currently plays for Tampa Catholic High School. He is responsible for the punt block at Tampa Catholic that turned the tide of the TC Jesuit game. And also, so that's why. And also,
my school is known for is having an Olympic track runner who made the world finals in the Olympics.
Time out, Ace. This guy, I saw him do both things on both sides of the field on offense and defense.
Yeah, he's a beast.
The brother is special. And this is coming from someone that I've seen some amazing talent that came by through Tampa Catholic. This guy's in a different league, guys. Different league. I will even go on to dare to say he might be going to the NFL immediately. Sure path.
Ooh, Saints are signing Frank Gore's son, Derek Gore. Isn't Derek Gore Frank Gore's son, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Saints are signing him to the roster.
Breaking news, Frank Gore unretires.
Nah, Derek Gore, not Frank.
And also, and a massive congratulations for Jared McIntyre for getting the job done. To come back behind and finish the job against Jesuit.
This man's still talking about this.
Knowing how Jesuit gets into people's head at Tampa Catholic a lot, that he managed to get the TC boys to get up and get going, come out from behind and take them out.
I'm gonna interject.
With all due
I'm gonna give you something to say.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm gonna say something that would help your commentary. You should have said TCB, the team that was nationally ranked for last year, won state title last year, and was also national ranked this year to start the year before falling off. And then
they also beat the top team in Tampa Bay as well, Tampa Bay Tech.
And they also beat a team that Archie Manning struggled against, Berkeley Prep. Should have said that too.
Well, I mean that Berkeley Prep team is not the same. They graduated a lot of seniors, to be completely fair. But what I'm saying is Jared McIntyre did what a lot of TC folks feared would never happen, to get over the mental barrier of Jesuit being better and all that stuff. He did it, and you know what? He has my utmost respect now. So I must give him those props. With all that being said, thanks for coming out, guys. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you, Stank Bastard, for coming on. We will be happy to have you on back soon. Most likely week 18. Why not? If you can do that, Stank, let's do it.
All right, brother. All right,
with that being said, thank you all so much. Have a good night.
Stank head out. I'm heading out.
Me too.
I would suggest breaking down every segment.
That was long as hell. I don't know if I can even do that. I'll take
just break down the NFL section, break down the college section, break down the Thanksgiving plate section, and then break down.
You maybe you should do it. You want access to do it? No.
I can.
All right, I'm gonna wrap this up. Out. Oh wait, we're still live. Holy crap!
Oh yay! We're live! We're live! We're live!